Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to be putting together a wreath. So before we get started, we tried to film this video outside, and after setting up our cameras and our table and everything, Strick is like, there's no way you're gonna make it out here. It is way too cold. And he's so right, because my hands were frozen just from setting up. So we can't do it in the office because, as you guys saw in our last video, we decorated the whole office for Christmas time, so there's no room there. So we have to pivot. And so now we're going to be making this wreath in our future living room. It's kind of echoey in here, so I apologize for that. But they just, there's nothing pretty to look at right now because they just spackled all of the walls. So we're literally just making this in a construction zone, which is fine. You just have to do what you got to do. Today's wreath that we're going to be putting together is for one of my friends. She actually recently hosted a really beautiful holiday gathering, and I just wanted to thank her by making her a beautiful wreath because I noticed she did not have one yet. So it was like the perfect opportunity to do this. So anyways, I'm going to turn my camera on. I'm going to show you all of the materials that we're going to be using today and some of the materials that you'll need to make your own wreath, and then we will jump right in. So you will need your wreath form. I'm going to be using this large metal one here. You will also need some pruners, some paddle wire, and I'm going to be using a 22 gauge paddle wire. Paddle wire is probably going to be the best material for you to use when you're tying your greenery and your bundles onto the wreath, because it's going to be pretty strong. And people do use string, but I found string, you have to be it has to be really, really tight, because as the materials start to dry throughout the season, they can fall out. So really paddle wire is the way to go. And when it's on a paddle like that, it's a lot easier to work with, because you'll see we're going to be using one single piece for the whole thing. Now, as far as your greens go, I bought huge boxes of greens directly from the flower market because I have a business license, so I'm able to get those at wholesale cost. But another way you can get bundles of greens is your local nursery should have some, florists, or you can also get a day pass and you can go foraging in forests. You would just have to Google your area and see what the restrictions are. So that is another great way of doing it. I also have some magnolia branches that we got from our neighbor. I might not use those, but we have them if we need to. Now, the three main greens that I bought was fir. I also have some these are incense cedar, and then I also have western red cedar right here, which is just really beautiful cedar, probably ones that you're really used to seeing everywhere. So I really love this one. This one is really beautiful because it has the little seed pods at the end of them. So I think this is just going to add a lot of beautiful texture to our wreath. Some of the other materials that I am going to be using today are going to be eucalyptus. I have some dehydrated navel oranges and blood oranges. Look at how beautiful that color is, that dark burgundy and then just your traditional orange. I think this always looks beautiful in wreaths. We have some thistle. I also have moss and some other natural elements. And we also have heuchera leaves, because I think this is always so fun to use in wreaths. So again, with the extra materials, these are the things that we're going to go back and we're going to edit. So we'll make our wreath first, and then with using bundles, and then we'll come back and edit with some of these other elements at the end. Now, the great thing about making wreaths is that the sky is the limit. You can use whatever materials you want. If you don't have access to a lot of greens, I would still try to get my hands on something, whether it's fir or boxwood. You can use arborvitae. You can use so many different materials. So it really just depends. But I think having the base of something green and something kind of that's going to weigh down the wreath is going to be really important for the overall structure of your wreath. But as far as the extra stuff, you can do anything. And when I say the sky's the limit, I mean the sky is the limit. You can just be creative, think outside the box. It doesn't have to be just fir and berries. That's also very beautiful, very simple, but you can really do berries, you can do different flowers, you can do dried flowers, you can do twigs, you can do anything you want. And same with the wreath form. You don't have to use the metal one. You could also use ones that you've made from branches, like willow branches or dogwood branches. You can use, those pre-formed ones with straw. So again, there's lots of different materials that you can use. Don't limit yourself to what you're going to be using for your wreath. And the more you make them, the better you become. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and point the camera down so you can get a overshot of what we're doing, and we will just jump right in. So the first thing we're going to do is tie our wire around our wreath form. This is just going to make it that we continuously use the same piece of paddle wire all the way around. So let me just kind of make a couple of just little knots just to keep that together. There's no specific way of doing this. I like to just tie it around a little bit, and then I will make several loops around just to make sure it's going to be extra sturdy. Like that. Perfect. Okay, so now that we've got our paddle wire attached to our wreath form, we are going to be making bundles. And I'm going to keep the bundles relatively the same size with the same materials, because when we attach them onto our wreath form, we want to make sure that they look relatively uniform. Now, before you start this whole process, you want to make sure that you cut your bundle or your greenery to relatively manageable sizes, because once they come in, they're really big. So I've cut them down to usable and again manageable sizes. We can always go back and prune any other pieces if we need to. But what I'll do is I will make layers to my bundle, and I'm going to kind of make them in a triangular shape. That way it's just going to look very even when we attach it to the wreath form. So we'll just use maybe 3 pieces of fir. I'm going to use a little bit of eucalyptus. So again, I'm just going to cut these in relatively smaller pieces, just like that. And then I will probably use 1 eucalyptus, or actually let's do the eucalyptus last. So we'll do this cedar first, and then we will do a couple of this western red cedar, and then we will do the eucalyptus. And you know what? I think I have some juniper. Let me go grab it. Yes, I do have some juniper. So I will just cut these down again to some manageable pieces. Just like that. I'll set that aside. Perfect. So, and then we'll do a little bit of juniper like that, and just have our eucalyptus peeking out a little bit. And there you go. So that's what the bundle is going to look like. Now I'm going to try to repeat the same shape and size of bundle for the whole wreath. Okay, so when attaching your bundles, you want to make sure that you're pointing them out a little bit, so almost like you're fanning them at kind of a sideways triangle. So not all the way out, because that's just going to make a massive wreath, but just like this, where it's just at an angle ever so slightly. And I'm going to try to keep the shape again uniform. That way the center could have a really nice big opening, and it's kind of a uniform circle and not all funky shapes or a funky shape at the end. So I'm going to put our bundle on here, and now with the paddle wire, I am just going to wrap around 2 to 3 times. And you want to do it kind of tight, because again, as these start to dry, they will shrink. So don't hulk it. And what I mean by hulk it is break it, because you can break the paddle wire, but make sure it's pretty sturdy. So that was 3 times. Perfect. And now it's on there. So I'll leave my paddle wire in the center the whole time as I'm making the bundle, and then we will go ahead and continue with the same direction all the way across. So let's make another quick bundle together. Again, I'm trying to keep them relatively the same. So just like this, we'll cut this end a little bit here. And then I'll come in with our first cedar. And this is just such a beautiful cedar. Look at that. I want to grow these in our future property just so I can have evergreens whenever I want, however much I want, without having to buy so much of it every year. And then we'll do our western cedar, red cedar on top. And then let's do our eucalyptus, just like one, maybe two pieces. Again, we can go back and edit at the end. If we need to tuck in more eucalyptus, we can certainly do that. And then a little bit of that juniper. So just like that. And now we're going to overlay this bundle on top of our first bundle, kind of overlapping the tail end over here of that first bundle. And again, we're going to try to keep it consistent in the same way, so as to not, make it pointed too outward or too inward. Again, keeping the center shape in mind. So just like this. And again, we're going to bring that paddle wire down here. Oops. And we're gonna go around 3 times again. So 1, 2, 3. Just like that. And now I'm going to speed this process up because we're just gonna go all the way around, and then towards the end, we'll stop, take a look, see if we need to do anything before we seal everything, as I like to say. So here we go. Okay, we are almost at the end. And you know what I was thinking is, if you can't get greens from your nursery or a florist, then you can go and grab or buy a really inexpensive tree, Christmas tree, like at a big box store or wherever, and use the greenery from that tree to make your wreath, or whatever decorations you're doing. If you're doing containers or whatever it may be, that is such a great way to also get your hands on some greens, especially if you don't want to go foraging, which I'm sure a lot of you are probably super busy this time of year. So, there's definitely options out there. You just have to be a little creative. Okay, so now we're at the end and we have this empty spot here. So to cover this, we're going to make one more bundle, and then we're going to underlay it underneath our first bundle, and we'll wrap that up. So with this one, I'm going to make it kind of relatively big because I don't want to make two. So I'm going to make this one just a little bit thicker than the other one. Let's see. Okay. We got the fur. Every time I say that, I think about that song from like back in the day. Boots with the fur. It's like one of the most annoying songs ever. Okay. Do that. We'll do our eucalyptus. Okay, and our juniper. So now I'm going to lift, again, that first bundle, just gonna lift it up like this, and I'll tuck this one right underneath it like so. And now I will just paddle, use my paddle wheel to go around. Now you don't wanna go over the top, so you just have to kind of come underneath. And there's a couple of ways of doing this, but this is just how I do it. Make that tight. Again, go around. Really tight. Now that it's secure, I can have a little bit more freedom to do this. Perfect. And sometimes you may need to come in and tuck one tiny one in, but let me clean off the table and evaluate where we need to go back in and add some more. All right, so now I am going to just lift this so you guys can see it. We'll get a better shot of it later, but this looks beautiful. I don't see any empty spots. Let me just take a look from my end. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Oh my gosh, that came out so pretty. So now what we're going to do is just very gently turn it the other way. And then I'm going to take that paddle wire and just really secure it on there. And then I'm going to cut a long tail, just like that. And now I'm just going to continuously wrap it around our form here. I'm just going to feed it through. And again, just do this over and over until it's all secure. Just like that. And then I will just loop it within itself. So you're basically just trying to really tie a knot at the end here. And even after we do this, if I realize there are some empty spots, I will go ahead and just hot glue them in. I'm just gonna tuck on this little hook there. Perfect, just like that. And then we'll flip our wire, or our wreath back, just like that. And it's a pretty big wreath, I won't lie. It's a big one, but you know what? She has a really big door, so we had to go big. So it looks really beautiful as is. And if you kind of want like just a green wreath, this is your girl right here. I think this is very appropriate just as is, but we're going to deck it out even more. So what I'm going to do is, before gluing anything down, I'm going to lay it all out and see how it looks. I kind of wanted some natural elements, and I like to use moss on my wreath. So you could do pine cones like that. You can, again, these are just things that you can pick up at the craft store, but I don't know if I want to do pine cones actually, or do we? I guess a few wouldn't hurt, but is that the vibe? And now I think I'll do the moss at the end, but before we do that, let's look at how this would look with oranges. Now, yes, I do think oranges is going to be just that last element. But do we use blood orange? So let's see. So we have the blood orange. Or do we use both? We're gonna be crazy and add both. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that looks really pretty. So that's with both. That's just with the blood oranges, like that. See, that looks really pretty because it's kind of picking up that burgundy color from the leaves of the heuchera. But I do think the orange, that navel orange, just brightens it up even more. Ooh, that looks good too though. Maybe we'll do both. Or are we overdoing it? But it's Christmas, you can't overdo it, right? Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's do both. Yes, this looks gorgeous. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go ahead and start gluing everything down. All right, well, I think that looks so beautiful. Now we do have to decide if we're gonna put a ribbon on here, which seems like a lot, but I have red, I have green, I have velvet and silk. The only thing is, I really love the way this looks without a ribbon. Red would be way too loud. The sparkly one could work, but I don't think that will look good. I'm thinking, I just want it to be subtle. If I had a burgundy one, I think that'd be really pretty. Or about a blue. Ooh, a blue could work. So let's just see what this looks like. We'll just kind of drape it over. I think that would look gorgeous. And let's see that with the green. I don't want to use the velvet, I think. Although I do love using velvet ribbon. That's probably my favorite. Green would be too matchy-matchy. So let's go with a very simple ribbon. Now again, I'm just going to make a really simple bow, nothing fancy. I'm just going to tuck in my ribbon through there and a very loose little bow here. Again, I'm kind of going for like that natural looking, so like nothing fancy, just like effortless. Doesn't that look so beautiful? Look at that. Oh, it's such a big wreath, but again, they have really big doors, but I love the way that came out. All right, I went ahead and hung the wreath on the door to our primary bedroom so you can have a full visual of what it looks like. Again, it is a really big wreath, but they have a big home, so I wanted the wreath to match the size of their entrance. I think the colors just play so well with each other. The heuchera leaves definitely added a different element to the whole look of the wreath, which tied in really pretty with the blood oranges, again with that dark burgundy color of the orange, and then the veining on the heuchera leaves. The blue ribbon really plays well with the eucalyptus and also that thistle, and then the rest of the natural elements with the pine cones, the moss, and those other little potpourri little pieces that we added on there. I think it just looks so gorgeous. I love the texture, I love the size of it, and it came out way better than I anticipated. I'm always nervous when making a wreath for somebody because I have the idea in my head, but whether or not it's going to translate to what I'm actually doing, you know, it's always a toss-up, but most of the time it's exactly how I had it in my head. So I am so obsessed with this wreath. I'm so excited to bring it over to them. All right, you guys, well, that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and putting this wreath together. I hope this encourages you to go out there and put your own wreath together. And if you do, please tag me on social media so I can see all of your beautiful creations. Again, thank you so much for hanging out today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Okay, just kidding, we're not quite done. When I was cleaning up, I noticed I had a lot of citrus left, so I wanted to create maybe a small wreath for our office and hang it on one of the barn doors, since we're not going to have a main wreath on our entry door. But I'm looking at my phone, and I went on Pinterest, and I've saved these over the years, and these are some of the wreaths that I think we can quickly put together. Now, if I had more time, what I would do is maybe cut or buy like a sheet of plastic. You can buy them at like Home Depot, just like a thin layer of plastic, and then probably cut a couple, like a circle, and then glue the slices on there. So like, look at this one. That one is really pretty. This one is really cool, but it looks like they're utilizing multiple types of citrus. And even if we just go and search, let's see, if we just search citrus wreath, let's see what comes up. And I actually saw another Instagrammer do this. Oh, that's pretty. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of them utilize green, but I kind of just want to do something without it. Oh, that one's kind of cool. All right, let's just improvise. So I know I needed something that's circular. So I brought this lid out, and I think what I'll do, I'll follow the same thing that I saw this gal do on Instagram, and I'm just going to make a circle, and I'm just going to hot glue all of the pieces together. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to go, but we're just going to go for it, okay? Okay, it kind of worked. So I'll go ahead and let this sit, and then I will hang it on our door and post a picture at the end to see how it looks. But easy peasy. Okay, so we cut 4-inch pieces. No, yeah, 4-inch.
By 1 inch.
By 1. Now we're just going to, it's not gonna sit like perfectly flat. I guess had I laid the oranges down perfectly flat, it would have worked better.
Like you could have started out with perfectly flat oranges
Yeah.
and then layered these on top.
Yeah.
But just leave it where it is, and then take it and add glue where there is contact.
Yeah. Good idea. I mean, it works. It's not pretty.
But it's, you're not going to see that. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I honestly thought it would be easier to cut the plastic. I don't know how that girl did it on Instagram. She did it just...
She could have had a rotor.
No. She didn't use this. This was my idea.
Oh.
She just laid the oranges.
Well, maybe she like did a flat layer of oranges and then overlapped them and glued them so they created a foundation.
No, I'll show you. I don't know how she... No, I'm not kidding.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft, for sure. I mean, I didn't see it hang, so maybe it was just like a... Yeah.
That's what you don't see, that.
Yeah.
Use that for a joint.
Okay.
And another joint. You don't overlap them enough.
Okay. So I think then what? To be better prepared, what do you recommend? using like a plexiglass and use a rotor to cut a perfectly good circle,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, well,
Honestly, I don't know how else you would do it.
yeah, I just thought you could cut this more easily.
It shatters.
It does shatter.
So you need something right there.
Okay.
Like that.
Shoot, I think I might have hot glue.
You had several.
I know, I've been crafting. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay. No, I think that looks way sturdier.
Right there.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait, wait, wait. Okay, just
I mean, the other way you could do this is
see
with
here?
the cardboard, but I don't want the cardboard. That probably would have been the best way to do it. And you're right, I think do a flat lay first on this and then layer it. Yeah.
Well,
But-
do you have more oranges?
No.
Let me show you. No?
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
right there.
well. Oh, are you gonna be the teacher now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right, imagine that is your first layer,
Uh-huh.
and then you overlap.
Oh,
That way you have the
Yeah,
back
yeah,
is
yeah.
flush,
yeah.
and then these will glue it.
But you would still need something on the bottom because.
No, you don't.
So what then? You would just glue these together?
But yeah, glue them together to these, and that will create like. Oh,
yeah.
we don't have glue. We can try it.
Yeah.
You'll see what I mean.
That makes sense.
Get more glue.
I don't. They were out. Well, this will work.
She's supposed to be a crafter, and she doesn't have any hot glue. Don't trust her.
Oh, see, look, that's really sturdy. Look at that.
Yeah, I know. I'm magic.
You're magic. Okay, so I'm just gonna hang this on the barn door.
Oh, we can show them an example of salami. We can do a salami
Ew, no,
for the meat lovers.
for the meat lovers. Ew.
A meat lover wreath.
A meat lover wreath. Well, there you go.